Hello, I'm Tom Hartman in Washington, D.C., and here's what's coming up tonight on The Big Picture. Do Republicans really think Susan Rice isn't fit to be Secretary of State? Or is the Benghazi witch hunt about politics as usual? We'll ask our panel what McCain and company are really up to in tonight's Lone Liberal Rumble. Also, even though Arizona's restrictive abortion ban is blocked from taking effect, officials in that state are still trying to prevent women from getting abortions. Are we ever going to see an end to the conservatives' war on women? You need to know this. Once there were three amigos.
Let's ride!
The Three Amigos. They were the biggest stars of their day. Who are you?
The Three Amigos! Arriba!
They are so brave.
Three Amigos.
I'll come back one day.
Why?
No, not those three amigos. These three amigos.
They stick together through thick and thin, from the Queen's Land to the Holy Land, from the ball field to the battlefield. They are Senators Joseph Lieberman, Lindsey Graham, and John McCain. And they've been called everything from the Three Amigos, the Three Blind Mice, and the Axis of Error by the website downsizedc.org.
Those are the real three amigos, but because Lieberman is leaving the Senate, the two amigos needed a new amigo, and they chose one of the Republican Party's rising stars, New Hampshire Senator Kelly Ayotte. Someday we'll figure out how to say it. Who Real Clear Politics even speculated may have been Mitt Romney's running mate. For McCain and Graham, picking a woman as their new third amigo was particularly useful, since the three amigos' first job of the new political year was to take down a woman, UN Ambassador Susan Rice. So she'd be so badly tarnished that President Obama wouldn't nominate her to replace Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State. And why would they care so much about destroying the reputation of a Rhodes Scholar, a Stanford graduate, and one of America's most distinguished diplomats? Well, given that the three amigos have always been basically a political hit squad, a two-bit Republican gang that's usually promoting wars to either enrich their military-industrial complex sponsors or to score points, political points against Democrats, it's a fair bet that it's all about either more war or politics. And, surprise, it's about both. If Susan Rice is taken down by the three amigos, the next in line for the Secretary of Defense slot is Massachusetts Senator John Kerry. And if he moves to the Department of State, his Senate seat opens up, and there'll be a special election in Massachusetts to replace him, which means the big defense contractors can throw a few $1 million at Scott Brown and very possibly get another Republican in the Senate and get rid of a Democrat. President Obama should have seen this coming, thinking naively that the three amigos might actually have real concerns about what happened in Benghazi, something Ambassador Rice had nothing to do with, but which she dared discuss on Sunday morning TV shows. The Obama administration organized an hour-long private briefing with the acting director of the CIA, Susan Rice herself, and the three amigos, so all their questions could be answered. But, of course, they weren't interested in facts or truth or even the impact their behaviors may have on international relations. All the three amigos wanted to do was to smear Rice, so Obama would be forced to drop her for Kennedy, opening the way for Kerry, opening the way for Scott Brown to get back into the Senate, as you can see here.
Susan Rice should have known better, and if she didn't know better, she's not qualified. She should have known better. I will do everything in my power to block her from being the United States Secretary of State. She has proven that she either doesn't understand or she is not willing to accept evidence on its face.
So how could she say 5 days later, definitively, there is no evidence of a coordinated al-Qaeda attack when there's a ream of evidence? This is about the role she played around 4 dead Americans when it seems to be that the story coming out of the administration, and she's the point person, is so disconnected to reality, I don't trust her.
In contradiction to what Ambassador Susan Rice said on every Sunday show when she first went on this incident, that this was, of course, not a spontaneous reaction to a video, those comments were deeply troubling, and that's why we wrote the letter. And I have to tell you, with the comments she made on those Sunday shows, that was either incompetence or blatantly misleading the American people.